What's up, everybody? Hi, and welcome back to another episode of What We Tell the Kids. Now, arguably so, we have been unavailable for some time, and that's because, you know what? Life happens. Happens. My beautiful wife, ladies and gentlemen, taking us into the introduction of this podcast, Roxy Singh.
Hi, everybody. Hellos. I missed this little spot, man. I really
You've
have.
missed it.
Yeah, I
And
have.
I have too. It's been a long overdue date that we are, but what can I say? It's been a long overdue thing that we've actually got down to now. You know, recording this podcast. I'm happy that we've got down to recording this podcast right now, and we're going to do them in batches, and we're going to try and be more productive about it because as parents, of course, it's just been difficult.
But yeah, lots of things happened. We had family over. We had Father's Day. And then I got engaged.
You got engaged again. You got engaged
I
again.
got engaged. After getting married, I got engaged. It was such a sweet thing. But anyway.
For all the viewers at home, we're going to post a clip in there of the engagement. And for the
Yes.
viewers that are, for the listeners that are listening in, you unfortunately wouldn't be able to see it. So hop on over to YouTube at What We Tell the Kids so that you can see the lot that's going on in our lives. And in this last week, it's been crazy. We are extremely apologetic that we couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
But look, we back and we mean business.
Yeah, so let's just get into it, right? Because we've got lots of stuff to cover. And for one, I think there's a few things that we need to get off our chest as a couple. There's a lot of things that we need to dial into that people have been sending us suggestions on and asking us, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And we thought, let's just turn it into one of this week's podcasts. So my husband is going to elaborate on a few things, and he's going to come forward with some very, very cheeky statements that not a lot of people are going to like him for. This is going to be interesting. And so am I. I'm going to pick on some ladies, and I'm going to pick on some moms, and I'm going to pick on some women out there. And
No.
let's just see how it flies, because there's a lot of things that people are bringing to our attention that you don't really notice until you see it. So let's get into it.
Men are dirty dogs. And that's where I'm going to start this off with. It came from a lot of personal realization, and this is exactly what I am referring to. Alpha male, you have a man in the house. The man is the dominant figure. He's looked to and looked upon as a source of income, etc., etc., etc. Does this mean this individual is now exempt from washing dishes, doing the laundry, being more cleanly around the house? I mean, God, at some point we've got to call a spade and say, men, start washing your own underwear.
You know what? I must be honest, right? When we got into our relationship, remember, I'm very used to doing things for myself, right? It's been like that for a very long time. I've always taken care of everything. So when when we got married and when we moved in together and when we started our little journey together, it was very easy going because you were already a bachelor living on your own. You had already started taking care of your own stuff. You'd already been, what can I say, self-sufficient, independent. Right? You were on your own. So it was easy to sort of migrate. Whereas I feel that when you come fresh out of the boat, and I mean that like when you come out your mom's house or whatever, you're so used to being taken care of that it's hard to move into a space where now you need to share the load because mom takes care of everything. And I think that's where men sort of slack because they come from their mom's home, and when they're there, mom does everything. Mom takes care of the food, the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, everything. And then when you're married, all of a sudden now you expect the same thing from your wife.
Incorrect. And it took a lot of, irrespective of the bachelor part, yes. So when I was sent out of my mother's house, she made sure I knew how to do the laundry, cook food, etc. arguably so, I was spoiled rotten when I lived with mum, and mum, I love you for that. She took care of everything, and that was the cooking, cleaning, and it's what you expect of a mother, right? However, dynamics, roles, and times are changing. And for the modern day woman who doesn't put up with the man, whether you're a housewife, whether your husband is bringing home the bread or whatever it is, at some point, everyone needs to start taking care of their own things. And I say this with utmost humility and respect because yes, I knew how to do laundry. Yes, it was still being done for me if I went back home. No, when I got married, I didn't expect my wife to do it for
Yep.
me. And even though she did for a short period of time, one of the triggers for me was every time I had something or purchased something new or she purchased me something new, somehow it would be bleached, tarnished, and yeah. I am not a wasteful person. And if you remember the last podcast, I took it upon myself to now keep my own laundry basket, to keep my own clothes in there, dirty laundry. I iron my own clothes. I take care of my surroundings. I look after my side of the bed. I fulfill my responsibilities. I'm not expected to, suppose like straighten hair or whatever that is, but if you put a drill in my hand and you tell me fix it, yeah, I'm gonna do that as well. But I have a lot more appreciation for the things that I own because I paid money for it, and I'm not tolerating anybody else looking after it for me.
I think
Or as
that
the Indians would say, look aftering.
I think that also comes from the fact that you had to do it before, and I still say it is definitely the way you were taught, the way you were brought up, the kind of family dynamic you come from, because not everybody's like that. And I can tell you 100% that there are women out there that wish that they could put a ring on your finger right now, because not every man gets that right. And I can tell you hands down that this man is not speaking a word of lie. He does it all. I don't have to do anything for him. He does it for himself. The only thing that he likes and he prefers me do is cook for him. But if I tell him that I'm coming home from gym late, or if I have a meeting or I'm running late, or for whatever reason, I just don't feel like cooking, I know he can take care of it. It's not a thing where I'm going to come home to some burnt offerings. He knows how to pull his weight around the house, literally, figuratively, and he can cook a mean meal. So yeah, I'm not tooting his horn here. I'm just saying he's he's a fine young lad. All right, let's get into the woman. So I've had a few conversations, right? And I'm not going to mention who I've had it with, but you know who you are. And it seems like there's two very extreme different type of moms or women these days. One of which is the mom that just doesn't, or the lady that just has a baby and then just doesn't care for herself anymore. Feels like, you know what, whatever, I can't even put a t-shirt on. Look, I've been there. And then, can't put a clean t-shirt on. I've been there. I've been to that place, and I've also had to see it from someone else's perspective, where they look at you and they're like, what's going on with you? Because there's certain things that you should take care of as a woman that you don't need a lesson on, irrespective of whether you have kids or not. Then I see this new generation of moms. Gosh, I don't know how to say this, but like, how do you always look so good? Like, you know what? To get myself ready, right? And I don't know, my husband will tell you this. I can only spare 5 minutes for myself. Like, where do you get the time to do all of that, and the hair and the face and the makeup and the clothes and everything else, and still have a child running around? Gosh, you must have some superpowers, because I don't know, I'm failing on that part.
I suppose it's a struggle for most women to keep up with keep up with the Kandasamis. But true, keep up with the Kandasamis. You want to be Jay Loshti. You want to be always proper and set in your way. Even just to wake up in the morning and dance around the house. it's a routine that was probably instilled in these women prior to them having
No, no,
kids.
no, no.
Maybe it's nannies, maybe it's grandparents that are
I
there
think
to
so.
help.
Look, I'm not talking about those ones that have it all together, right? I'm not talking about the ones that have like older kids or whatever. Because look, I have older kids too, and when I was at that point where the kids were older, yes, I had more time to myself. But now that we have like that 2-year-old, and like for the last few months before when he was born, I don't know. It's difficult. It is damn difficult to run around after a kid to keep clothes that don't have bath or throw up on it. Keep your clothes clean. Have a shower. Do your hair. Make sure you don't have anything in your hair. Go out in public looking like remotely sane.
But then it needs to beg to ask the question, and the question is, what is your expectancy out of this? Because you asking the question, how do they do it, why do they do it, etc., but how does it affect us in our lives? If we aren't able to keep up with that facade or keep up with that line of how people do it, perhaps they have a different level of productivity towards us. It really doesn't influence us in terms of our family dynamic in any way. And quite frankly speaking, as you've noticed from many of the podcasts, I'm a very neutral person myself. So if I throw on a golf cap and a t-shirt, etc., I'm done for the day, and that's it for me. I've embraced the dad life if it gets me out the door quick enough.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying. And then the reason why we're bringing this up is because there are talks about some people that take it to the extreme. Like your kid is not even taken care of, and here you are running around.
That's a whole lot of whole different scenario.
Yeah, so
now if you are saying that you putting makeup on and you taking so much of time for yourself because you're probably self-absorbed, self-obsessed, you use it as an excuse to say, I delivered a baby and now I deserve this for myself, and your kid is neglected, especially if you don't have a husband that can look after him, if you don't have a husband that can look after him, or a nanny or somebody else to assist, then there's a key connection that's broken.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think that there's two really extreme kind of moms that are bred these days, and I don't know where I fall into, and I hope I don't fall into either of them, because it's sad on one end, and the other end is just shocking. So, look, the best thing that I can say is, from my perspective, is just do the best you can. The way that your mom and your parents raised you, because the type of moms that are coming up these days, you're going to end up, in a space where you start to regret a lot of things because they're only that young for that amount of time. Like I look at my kids now, they're older, 18, 19 and 13. They are 19 and 13. They are getting so old so fast, and they're not babies anymore. So let's just say, enjoy them while they're young. Let them throw up on you, run around after them, take them to the beach and let them play. But don't miss these years, because you're not going to get them back. I wish my kids could go back to
that point as well. I'm not telling the woman out there how to you know what, there's nothing that I can say that will influence you otherwise, except that what you are doing is correct for you. I appreciate that, and you appreciate that for yourself. If there's anything in anybody's life, man, woman, that it consumes so much of your time that makes you feel as if though, or makes others perceive you to be so self-engrossed, and you are neglecting your children, then that should be a crime. And that's as simple as it is. However, if your children are amazing and you're spending sufficient time with them and they are well fed and you are meeting the milestones and you actually know every little fine detail about them, but you're taking that 2 to 3 hours to do your makeup, if that's how long it takes, I'm not sure, then go ahead. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't see any problem with it. You deserve it as a woman for everything that you have to put up with, and you deserve that time for yourself, and provided that you aren't neglecting your responsibilities. And look, if your husband is neglecting his responsibilities and he's not stepping up to the plate to do his part, and I know I'm guilty of this at some times, today we had an argument about diaper changes. I didn't want to do it. It smelled bad. And I fought my way out of it. But look, if push came to shove, I would do it because I know how to. And I've probably changed about 300 diapers in my time, which is nothing to compete with my wife and my girls. They've done definitely more than me. So, yeah, back to you, babe.
All right, so let's just, we're getting to the end of this. And I know we always do suggestions, but let's do something different. We're going to do something called an old wives' tale. And we're going to see what your take is on that, my love. All right.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. All right, so there's an old wife tale that says you mustn't sweep after dark.
Correct.
Let's start it off by saying you tell me if it is a scientific reality or
Fact or cap?
Indian myth.
No, fact or cap. Let's do fact or cap.
Okay, fact or cap.
It is a now cap. And I say it's cap because if you aren't sweeping your house at night, especially after you've dirtied the kitchen and there's like ridiculous amounts of dirt everywhere around your home for whatever reason they may be, we've got electricity now, right? So if you look at the past, don't sweep anything after dark. Yes, if you were living under candlelight, it's now officially cap.
Yes, okay, great. I'll take that one. All right, the other one is tying your hair when you go outside.
Absolutely. Tie your hair. We don't know why. We don't know if it's true. And I haven't, well, technically speaking, I could tell you a couple of ghost stories, especially involving me and witnessing them. However, if there is any rumor that your hair is the reason why ghosts are looking and praying over you and whatever, I don't want to get involved in that supernatural. I don't want to be the reason to find out whether ghosts are actually responsible for possessing you, whatever the case is. We always tell our children, and this is an Indian fact.
Okay.
However, why it's a fact, I don't know. But yes, fact. Tie your bloody hair, especially if you're a woman, and don't go outside at night, especially without your hair tied.
All right. Okay. I'm not going to say anything of this. This is my husband's segment. And the next one. Itchy palms mean you receive money.
For whatever reason that my palms have itched in the past, I have not seen money come from it. So probably a lot of debit orders that left my account shortly after. But in life, it's cap because you have to work for everything you earn. If you aren't putting in the effort, you aren't receiving the reward.
Ah, great. Okay. And then last one. If someone hiccups, then someone's thinking of you.
Probably true, probably not. I do know that on a few occasions when I was thinking bad of someone, I started to like choke and cough. Yeah, that probably is fact or cap. Can't approve or deny. There's no scientific evidence to back it. That's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We are on a 20-minute timer for these things because we are parents. We are on a 20-minute timer for these podcast episodes, mostly because we're parents and we also have a lot of responsibilities. But for the short conversation, we hope it's intriguing enough for you to enjoy and love us all the more. We'll talk about my beard in the next episode and what's going on with all these patches. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to What We Tell the Kids, episode 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know what it is. Bye.
Bye.
देखा तेनू पहली बार वे होने लगा दिल बेकरार वे रब्बा मैनू की हो गया दिल जानिए मैं तेरा ही हो गया हो तेरे अगे पीछे घूमे सोने जदों तेरे हथ चुम्मे सोहणिया मिठा मिठा जी हो गया दिल जानिए हाय मैनू की हो गया मैं दिल तेरे कदमां च रखा ढोलना मैं तेरे अगे अखियां ना चक्का ढोलना जे तेरे ते रब विचों तकना पए ते फिर मैं तैनू ही तक्का ढोलना तू जदों तेरी जुल्फां नू खोलिया मेरे कोलों गया नहीं जे बोलिया मेरी तू कमी हो गया